All right, we're going to talk real quickly about putting gardens to bed. A lot of times we talk about we're going to put gardens to bed for winter, and what we're really are doing is prepping for spring. I mean, we're doing both.
Yeah.
And so,
but first, can I do something here?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. This is Sean and Monica from the Prepared Homestead.
Okay, yeah, that's right. This is all live, but it's also to record.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're actually in my herb garden in the front of our house.
It's not just yours.
Well, kind of. Kind of is just mine.
No, it is. You planned it, implemented it.
Yeah.
I'm just the work behind it.
Yeah, you're the slave labor.
All right, so Monica, let's walk through this.
Okay.
And just talk about a few things real quick as far as putting gardens to bed and prepping them for spring all at the same time. So what are some of the major things we want, or at least what's one thing that we want to think about when doing that?
Well, one of the things that I decided to do this year, because we had some pretty sterile soil, was work on adding more organic matter.
Yes. Okay, can I stop you real quick
Yeah.
right there? Now, I want you guys to picture this. Look around a little bit. This was all like that road out there, pretty much. It was a bench. It was cleared. It was hard pan. It was pea gravel and with weeds coming up. And so there was a lot of work in just getting this thing established.
Yes.
Right?
Unfortunately, we had good, strong teenagers to help with that.
Absolutely.
And
okay.
you.
So, organic matter.
Yeah. Okay, so we had brought in some topsoil this spring, and one of the very first things we did, as you can see, if you look around, especially where my path is, there's still clover. We planted a ton of clover here.
Filled with clover. It
Totally.
was totally green.
Yeah.
And totally complete with clover. That was the ground cover.
Yeah, and honestly, we allowed it to continue to grow and really cover everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though this next year I won't do that because I want to put a lot more herbs in.
Yeah, you're adding a lot of herbs here.
But this year it was
Which,
more
in fact,
about
are growing downstairs.
Right,
as
you're
we
growing
speak.
herbs downstairs. But what I really wanted this year was to get enough of this living mulch, basically, and then I decided to cover it, which is going to bring the nitrogen and make it part of the soil profile.
So the cool thing here is that you did the living mulch on here, and usually the difference between living mulch and green manure is when you turn it into the soil. But instead of doing that, you kind of did something in between. You just covered it with wood chips, by the way, that we just got from a tree service in that just cutting down power lines type.
Right down on our driveway. The one thing I did do before I put down the wood mulch, though, was to put in our
manure teas.
The actual chicken coop.
Oh yeah, right.
Manure that
was
had
the
been
base.
really.
Yeah, right.
Because I stuck that on top of the clover, and then on top of that we did about 2 or 3 inches of wood chips.
Right, which is interesting because originally, before we even brought in the topsoil, we
put some chicken manure down.
Chicken manure, straw, and stuff like that to start just slowly building fertility and organic matter.
Yeah, and then we put the soil on top, and then we did the clover, and now we've covered the clover in more manure. What is it? Straw, manure, compost.
Yeah, right.
Really, because it's been composting all summer, and then wood chips, and then we actually did do rabbit manure tea as well.
That's right. So we're continually adding biological activity, and hoping to increase soil fertility.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the guild.
Okay, so come over to the guild.
A lot of work here. You've got a ton of plantings in here, but now it's totally cleaned out. This thing was very productive and very grown up. So
yeah, one of the things that
what did you do to prep this area?
One of the first things we did actually was pull some of the lemon balm and the mint because they had sort of taken over the garden. They're beautiful and they smell good and great medicinals, but it's not great for taking over everything.
Right.
So we kind of pulled some things back, put in these walking paths allowing for us to get in there deeper and actually harvest some of the things that we have growing. And then we did rabbit manure tea in here and then just covered it in wood chips. We didn't do much to the soil because it has so much organic matter and it's such a good
growing medium.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
everything that
productive.
grows here grows big and grows really well. So that was something I didn't have to worry about too much. I did want to put the wood mulch down partly to add it to the soil, but also to help protect some of the more sensitive perennials, and I don't want them to die over our really cold winter.
Okay, what about the boxes? Okay, so what we did this year was we grew some annuals in here on the sunny side.
Yeah.
It didn't do so well because this was, you know, again, it was not that great. So what did you do to prep this now? And
so
what are you
this
doing
one,
with this?
I did pull the few annuals that were still living in here, but what I decided to do on this was actually till the clover in.
Okay. All right. So you did a green manure.
Yeah.
In here in this little space.
Yeah, and
these couple spaces.
To do that in the beginning, I actually pulled it all out. I mixed it in with the compost I pulled out of the chicken coop, and then threw it back in.
Good. That's gonna be great stuff.
Yeah. Put a bunch of rabbit manure in there, and then topped it with these wood chips.
I can tell it's already a whole lot better.
It is so much better. It's probably like down to here where I added and mixed in a lot of good stuff with soil.
Great.
And the one thing I planted in our planter boxes this year was bulbs, spring flowering bulbs, and so this
pollinator attractors.
Yes, and just beautiful.
Aesthetically pleasing.
Aesthetically pleasing, yeah.
Aromatically pleasing.
Yeah, and it's going. And you know, I needed to grow something here this next year that I didn't have to do quite as much with. Like our annuals required a lot of work, and these will be coming up. I have an early spring.
Now, let me ask you a question.
And late.
You let all the clover continue here. Are you just doing some different experimentation, or what?
I am. I think with this area, I want to continue allowing the clover to grow. And if I can get this soil good, I plan on doing some wildflower planting in here.
Okay.
Again, I'm always looking for ways to add pollinators to our system because it's so good for all the rest of the plants.
Right, and you did the same thing with the boxes back there?
Yep, same thing.
Right.
I put more straw mulch on those because it felt like I found a few worms in here. Even with the soil before. Right. In there, I found nothing. And so I added more straw mulch and things, that, you know, in layers.
Cool,
so.
right on.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me talk to you real quick about the food forest up there and how we prepped that for winter. Now, it's a much bigger space, so we can't do as intensive of things here. In other words, we couldn't cover the whole thing with wood chips and all that. We did put some wood chips in there. We kind of spread that out, and we're always adding organic matter up there. And we also did some rabbit manure teas and comfrey fertilizer, fertilizer teas. We spread leaves up there. I mean, whatever we have, we use up there as far as organic matter. Obviously, all the leaves that fall, we do not rake them up and put them in bags and send them off to the dump. No. They stay. That's wonderful organic matter that has minerals and everything else in it that breaks down eventually and feeds the soil.
And the only time that we actually do rake it up is not from the forest floors, but we have a few trees here where the leaves land, in our parking areas and our driveway where we don't need any mulching. And so we capture all of that and bring it to the useful spots.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. So there are certain little areas that we do, parking areas, things like that.
Yeah.
But no lawn areas, no yard, no
I know, we don't believe in lawn. Lawn, food, not lawn.
Food, not lawn. Yeah, grow food, not lawn. Anyway, that's kind of how we prepped. We didn't, now in the back, we could go back there, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Wood
chips, mulching. We're always doing biological fertilizers to feed soil, increase biological activity. And we get a ton of worm. I mean, there's so many worms.
Worm
and
activity back there. Yeah, I mean, the one beauty of our annual garden is that was used by the previous occupant, and so that was set up really, really well for us to use.
Sure.
The rest
of
this,
we're just adding to it.
Yeah, we're just adding to it. The rest of it has been our creation completely.
Right.
And working from scratch.
Right. There are certain beds back there where we, for example, where we grew corn and everything else, where we're going to rotate crops. We'll rotate in cover crops and things like that. But same kind of principles: biological fertilizers, mulches, and getting animals in there. So we've had we've had poultry in here.
Yeah.
A little bit, not much, but you give them some access to it, and they do their thing in it. Same thing with back there, and then same thing with the food forest. We probably had poultry in the food forest over this last year for 3 months, 4 months, long time. So lots of access to this area, and that'll become more and more as this becomes more and more established.
Yeah, and in my herb garden, it'll become less and less.
Absolutely, yeah. But you'll probably still give them a little bit of access.
Yeah, he thinks so.
It's a poultry yard. It has to be a poultry yard. Anyway, all right. So I think that's it. Any other tips for putting gardens to bed? prepping them. Well, how about cutting back? You cut back, you pruned.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to be doing a little more. What's been interesting is we haven't really had any kind of serious frost for any length of time.
No,
we've had a night here or a night there. And so I still have some herbs that are growing and green and living, and so I'm kind of allowing them to I mean, you can see my parsley is still here.
Yeah, you can harvest a little bit left.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we can show them our cold frames and our winter crops and what we're growing, and we'll maybe save that for another time. But I think that's great. That's actually really good advice as far as putting gardens to bed and at the same time prepping them for winter. Now,
for spring.
Or for spring. In the back, we're obviously doing a lot of pruning on their espalier trees and things like that as well.
Yes, and training those down. In fall is a great time to do that. And I will be trimming up this more and more because all of the energy will be going to the roots pretty soon anyway. So as soon as I see more and more dying, I'm going to go ahead and trim them down.
All right.
Yep.
That's it.
Thanks.
All right.